Submission Hunter Pro 100 is headed your way live and exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. It is November 16th. Is it in Houston, Texas? Chad Robichaux, my guest?
Yeah, it's going to be in Houston.
You're on this card. I mean, I have so many questions for you, and very few of them are about jiu-jitsu. First off, thank you for your service. You're a United States Marine in the Force Recon. I don't even know what that is, man.
Yes, Force Recon's Marine Corps' internal special operations unit. There's a recon battalion that has the Alpha Bravo Charlie like recon companies, and then Force Recon, the guys who've been around a little bit longer, more premier operators in the reconnaissance community. And the Marine Corps has a unit called MARSOC that supports the Special Operations Command, where all the branches special operations participate, but the Marine Corps wanted something independently for themselves, and they kept the recon and Force Recon elements there.
Got it. All right. You're kind of speaking English to me, kind of not. But,
yeah.
Normally I'm talking to MMA veterans. I got a real life Marine vet in front of me. And like I said, like you've got a lot of things going on. You got the submission match, big backstory with your military service. You got a podcast. You're talking to big name celebrities. Why compete? Why compete against Victor Poses coming up here on November 16th?
Well, I've been a martial artist for 45 years. So I stepped on the mats at 5 years old doing traditional jiu-jitsu and judo. And it wasn't until 1994 that I first started Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I had a great competitive run. I did 20 professional MMA fights, great record, lots of jiu-jitsu competitions. But my life really turned towards the philanthropy work I do. I run a lot of nonprofit work from the veterans organization I run, Mighty Oaks Foundation, where we care for veterans and first responders. We've served over 500,000 troops in that program. And then I run rescue operations where special operations veterans like myself would go around the world and rescue people that are in need. And so I have all this work I'm doing with books and foundations. I've written 12 books now, and 5, international bestsellers, and my podcast, the Brazilian Show, all these things going. But I love, at the core of everything, jiu-jitsu is like, my faith and jiu-jitsu are like faith, jiu-jitsu, and family. Those are the things that are most important to me, for me personally. And so I had decided about 40 years old, when I turn 50, no matter what I have going on, I know I'm going to be too busy, but when I turn 50, my 50th birthday gift to myself will be to step back in and compete one time. And I don't want to compete against another 50-year-old old guy, because I look at myself, I feel good, but other 50-year-olds, I'm like, that's old. So I didn't want to compete against an old guy. I want to compete against a current relevant guy. And as Victor's, I think he's probably close to 20 years younger than me, 20 pounds heavier than me. He does this full time. And that's what I wanted. So this is my birthday present to myself, despite all my busyness, that I get the chance to go out and do what I love and compete. And so I'm thankful for, Eric at Submission Hunter and UFC Fight Pass and to Victor to the opportunity to do this for my 50th birthday.
I had already spoke to Victor about this matchup, and he's pretty excited about it too. And that's the thing, man. We're looking at jiu-jitsu now, and it's always been like this subsect of mixed martial arts. Like they're cousins in a way. If there's no jiu-jitsu, there's no UFC. If there's no UFC, there's no mixed martial arts explosion. Now we're seeing the UFC put its focus back on Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You got the ufcbjj show. Sub 100 Pro, Eddie Bravo Invitational. A lot of grappling lives under this Fight Pass banner. You're going to be on it. What is it like for you, someone who has deep roots, and like you said, jiu-jitsu kind of guides the way you lead and live your life. What is it like for you to see jiu-jitsu get this sort of big fight night sort of attention?
I'm super proud of this sport, because, for those who have been training like as long as I have, back in the 90s, like you would travel far and wide to get a seminar from a purple belt.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, when I met my first black belt, I'm like, oh my gosh, now there's black belts everywhere. I'm like, I had never even met a fifth. I'm about to get my 5th degree black belt, like from Carlson Gracie Jr. Like, I never even thought I'd ever meet a 5th degree black belt. And so to see how far our sports come, and it's went through different good things and bad things. We've seen in some areas the watering down of the sport, because I'm not a sport jiu-jitsu guy.
Right.
For me, I'm a martial artist. If I have to defend myself for the professions I've had, being in special operations and does in law enforcement, self-defense, that's so to watch jiu-jitsu as an art took this competition and taken it to where I don't think guys had a lot of the core foundational self-defense things,
Right.
that are important to me. Uh, so, so those are some things I watched in the degradation of the art, but then I think competition always brings it back to a high level.
Yeah.
And that's everything I've been involved in, whether it's shooting or athletics. Like when you inject competition at a high level, it's gonna raise the tide. And so for me, it's made me really proud of our sport to see that we've made enough a statement that people like Dana White will get behind putting something like jujitsu on the main stage, and that's gonna bring the level of jujitsu up. And it is. As we see it in our own in my own school, like the it's these getting tougher and tougher. Man, blue belts now are like this. I have some blue belts in my gym that are just monsters.
Yeah, yeah, I do commentary for the Eddie Bravo Invitational, and Landon Elmore, who's a John Danaher purple belt, won the whole thing in under 4 minutes. Tapped 4 dudes in under 4 minutes, and it's just like, where are these kids coming from? You know, the joke used to be like all these Brazilians were born with blue belts. I think Americans are being born with purple belts these days.
But if you so to my point though, if you took the competition circuit out,
Yeah.
the whole thing, the quality and then the skill set diminishes.
No,
And
100%. And I can't imagine what jujitsu was like for you in the 90s. Like if you told someone on the street, like, yeah, I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that's like speaking a different language. And now, I mean, I live in Southern California. You can't go anywhere without seeing a jujitsu school or almost like rear-ending a black belt.
yeah, exactly. You can be careful who you mess with in the streets of Southern California
Oh,
or
yeah.
Texas. We have so many in Texas.
Yeah.
It's a Texas has become a mecca, especially I'm in Houston. It was where we started. Jiu-jitsu really started in Texas, in the Houston area. But now, I mean, in Austin, Texas, you have everyone's in Austin. We have Garden. When Garden went there, everyone followed, and
Yep.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's the mecca now for jujitsu, it seems. So you've highlighted this match. It's your birthday gift to yourself. I see why you know are matched up with Victor, because if you were matched up with just another sort of older gentleman that was a hobbyist, that really wouldn't be a match. It would be you more kind of challenging yourself. I think now you
Yeah,
are
it would
challenging
motivate.
yourself, but you got Victor.
Yeah, it would motivate me, and I'm a lofty goal person, and so and one thing I definitely want to make known, like I say, this a birthday gift to myself. This isn't for fun. Like if I am going to compete, I'm a competitor. I'm competing to win, and
Right.
I'm 1,000% confident in myself every time I've ever stepped in onto those mats or in a cage. Like
Or done anything in your life? I mean, you've written more books than I've read.
yeah, I'm confident in this match to win. I think Victor's a very skilled jiu-jitsu guy. It's a great game, but you know, I don't plan on just winning. I plan on finishing. That's always my goal. If you look at my MMA record, 18-2 at 17 submissions. Like I'm a finisher, and I will push the pace till something breaks, and it's usually my opponent. So
Chad, were you a little ahead of your time? Because I look at that MMA record of yours and I'm like, why didn't this guy fight in the UFC?
yeah, well, I was ahead of my time, and that record could be deceiving because 18-2 sounds like an amazing record, but I was fortunate or unfortunate to compete in a time where the competition, my first matches were like, okay, this guy's a kickboxer or a taekwondo guy, or
Right.
it's was a little bit like cheating in the beginning, but towards the end, I had some tough opponents, and fought for the main event in Bellator for the when Zach Makovsky against Zach Makovsky for the championship. And I fought, in Strikeforce and World Series of Fighting, when World Series of Fighting before his PFL, and
Yep.
first won the first legacy belt. So
That's a
I got
legacy right there.
yeah, I had a great time and got some great competition, but for me, like I was a jiu-jitsu guy, and at the time, I think the UFC really wanted to see some striking, and my thing was always, "Hey, if you want to see me strike, you better put somebody in front of me I can't take down."
Right.
And unfortunately, I don't think that was appealing enough for Sean Shelby at the time, but I had won at Strikeforce, and at the time, that was put me at 16-0. It was a really good position,
Yeah.
and had submitted at that time. I had submitted 15 out of my 16 professional wins, and I was pushing and waiting for the UFC, and it didn't happen fast enough, so I took the fight at Bellator against Zach Makovsky, and I lost. And then I'm like, okay, I just got to get back out. And by the way, when I lost to Zach Makovsky, that was one of those that was my very best, and I
Mm,
was like I realized, okay, there's another level.
right. Yeah.
And so I went back to the drawing board and trained really hard for a rebound match. Fought Jonathan Mackles, who was just coming out of Bellator. We fought at Legacy, and he had a good record. I think he was 14 or 15-2, but I was like
Yeah.
super confident to win, and I lost again. So now I lost 2 in a row, and that kind of put me in a bad position. Now I really have to come back to get in the UFC, and at that time my foundation at Mighty Oaks was starting. My priorities were changing, and so I put a lot of energy into the other things I was doing. Fortunately, as a competitor, I always wanted to come back and leave on a win. I had the opportunity to come back and fought one more time in Legacy against Joe Sandoval, fresh out of the UFC. I won in 58 seconds with a north-south choke, and then I went over to World Series of Fighting and fought Andrew Yates, who was 8-0, and I think I was 38 and he was 24, and I put him to sleep with the same choke, and that was my retirement,
You're a
and
very humble guy, because I just asked why you didn't go to the UFC, and you were like, I was cheating because I was so much better than the competition. No, you stepped in a cage with 20 dudes, and you submitted 17 of them, Chad. That's crazy.
yeah, I mean, it's a great representation of jiu-jitsu. I always love that. I'm like, I got to represent my sport, my art well, and
I guess. You get to
yeah,
do it again here coming up November 16th. Tell me what this match looks like between you and Victor.
man, you know what? I'm a kind of person that don't really put a and it's no disrespect to my opponents. For me, like personally, who I am, I don't put a lot of clout into who my opponent is or what they do.
Mm.
Um, I think people get in their own head when they start like really doing that. I know what I do, and I know what I do really well, and I focus a lot on my game. I know their whole school is very good at footlocks, and that's kind of their game. It's I'm like I feel pretty good about protecting my feet, and I got a good footlock game, but I'm really good. I'm really hard to get to there. I just push a really hard pace. I hope because anybody thinks I'm 50 years old, that they're gonna get they'll get a 25-year-old nonstop pace. I cardiovascular wise, pace wise. I have professional MMA fighters in our gym every day that I break them with pace. That's just who I am and how I grapple. So I never come off the gas. Uh, as soon as I feel people fading, I just turn it up, and that's just so. If that's 7 minutes, you're gonna get 1,000 miles an hour for 7 minutes, or until I submit Victor, and that's just how I grapple. I've always grappled that way. It works for me, and I hope it's an exciting match for everyone, because as a fan of jiu-jitsu, I like to I like to put on exciting matches that people are entertained by,
Yeah.
and so that's another reason that in competition I never slow down, because if I'm watching a match, I don't want to see people stalling out. At 7 minutes, like, who can't, like, go
I
hard.
can't. I can't for 7 minutes, but that's a different story altogether. I'm sure you can. I'm sure Victor will. It all
Yeah.
goes down Sub Hunter Pro 100. Chad, I appreciate the time on the way out. Why don't you tell everyone how they can check out the podcast and keep up with you, and maybe check out the next book you write?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram, super active on Instagram. My website's chadrobichaux.com. It's kind of the landing page for all my nonprofit work and all the work we do, books and everything else. And the show is The Resilient Show. And we have phenomenal guests from Terry Crews, Sean Ryan, tons of special operations combat veterans on the show. And we do episodes every week, and we have a huge following. It's a great show. And we have the most amazing guests.
Thank you for your time, Chad. Thank you for your service, and best of luck coming up here at Sub Hunter Pro 100.
I appreciate it, TJ. God bless, man.